What's going on, everybody? Welcome to TruthSerum, episode 2, and we're getting started right now. Hey, everybody. So, welcome to episode 2 of TruthSerum. We had a really good episode on episode 1. Thanks for coming back and seeing us, and welcome to those of you who are tuning in for the first time. So, TruthSerum is basically a broadcast about life from a young adult believer's perspective. So let me give you a little bit of background or format of how the show will go. So for the first segment, we will have discussion around a topic. We'll introduce a topic, and then we'll have questions surrounding that topic, and answering those questions, we will then be able to get the content that we want to talk about. Then the second segment is a Q&A. So whatever questions you have, whatever comments you have, go ahead and put them in the Facebook comments box, and our production team will pass along as many of those questions as we can answer. We apologize if we can't get to them all, but we only have a certain amount of time. So anyway, today the topic is relationships. To keep or not to keep. A little Shakespearean flow there. But anyway, I want to introduce our co-host for today. Her name is Shannon Lubiano, entrepreneur and extraordinaire. Shannon.
Hello.
So it's great to have her on the show here today. And she's going to help us talk about this thing today.
Yep, glad to be here.
Cool. So now let me clear up the topic a little bit. So it's not relationships to keep or not to keep all relationships. Is basically how to manage the relationships in life. Just a general overview of relationships, because we know there's different types. You know, you have marital relationships, you have premarital relationships, you have family, you have friends, you have all that. So we're going to just talk about the overall general view, and then we'll probably get into some specifics, but we'll see where it goes, because this is a live flow, and you never know what's going to happen. So anyway, the first question is, what is a healthy relationship, and how do you know, or how do you make it grow? So, you have anything on that, Shannon?
Yes.
Cool.
So, a healthy relationship should be basically with somebody who
sorry. Yeah. That's okay.
Who positively affects your life on a regular basis.
Yes.
Consistently. I mean, you're going to have some issues, and we're all human. We're going to make some mistakes, but consistently on a regular basis, they should be edifying you in some way.
Yeah. So both people are kind of giving and basically working at the relationship, no matter what type it is,
Correct.
So yeah, that's really good.
Yeah, and so with making it grow is exactly what you were just talking about.
Yeah.
You're constantly feeding into it.
Yeah.
Just think about with planting.
Yeah.
You're constantly feeding into it to help it grow.
Absolutely.
Right.
You got to water it.
Exactly.
You're talking about planting,
Exactly.
seeds, and
Water it.
we're getting philosophical here. Okay, so healthy relationships. So you have marital relationships.
Yeah.
How do a husband and wife how does that work, do you think?
Finding each other's love language.
Yeah.
We've all heard of that book.
Yeah.
So feeding into that.
Mm-hmm.
That's important.
Yeah.
Being,
it can't all be one-sided either, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Both people investing, their time and energy, and it's give and take.
Yeah, give and take. What about so we're believers? What about that third strand that you go through when you go through marriage counseling? Those of you who haven't been married yet, where we come from, we had to go through marriage counseling, and and part of that, one of the topics is how the three-stranded rope. What about the third strand?
Well, clarify that for.
Let's clarify.
Yes.
So you have the man, you have the woman,
right?
But then the third strand is God.
Exactly.
Right, and You know, if you keep that third strand in the rope, it'll help that rope stay together.
Right. It would definitely help each other stay on the same page.
Sure.
You know, you're going to have some disagreements, but you shouldn't be so totally off if you guys, if God is head.
Absolutely.
You know.
Absolutely. Yep. And another part of healthy relationships is the aspect of, you know, forgiveness, right?
Right.
Yeah, because we all at some point or another we're gonna get on each other's nerves. That's just life, you know. It's part of being human. We're gonna come with some silly stuff. We mess up. So forgiveness, you know, is also a big part of it, right?
Correct.
Cool. So
and truly forgiving.
Oh yes.
You know.
What's truly forgiving?
Well.
There's fake forgiving, right? There is fake forgiving, right?
Well, there is fake forgiving,
right.
You know, because I'm one, if you're going to forgive me. I don't want to hear about it.
Yeah.
2 weeks down the road, a month down the road.
Right.
You know, we're past it,
right.
So it doesn't need to keep coming up.
Right.
So
you said it, but didn't really mean it.
Right. And not that it can't still hurt. You may still be hurt about it, but you know, I agree to forgive you about this thing, so I need to let it go. I don't need to keep bringing it back up.
Right. So some people forgive and hold.
Right.
Which is what I've done. Since this is TruthSerum, I've done that plenty of times.
But, we all have.
Yeah. So I'm getting better though. I'm getting better, everybody. So moving on then. So most relationships go through trials, right?
Right.
But when does the relationship become unhealthy?
So when I defined it earlier about, you know, a good relationship is positively affecting you the majority of the time.
Right.
It's the opposite.
Yeah.
So when it's negatively affecting you,
Yeah.
majority of the time, you know, again, we're all going to make mistakes,
right.
But the majority of the time, that person in your life should not be causing you harm.
Right. Yes. All types of harm.
Right. All types of harm. So.
Really sucking the life out of you instead of giving life to
Exactly.
you. Now, it doesn't happen like that all the time, but overall, generally, they should be adding to you instead of taking away.
Exactly.
Yeah. So, okay.
Yeah. So we, you know, again, that doesn't have to just be, you know, who you're married to, who you're dating. That can be family members. That can be your boss, your work environment.
Oh yes. The boss, absolutely.
Exactly. So.
I have some stories around the boss. Yeah. put some comments in the box if you want to hear a story about the boss.
Oh my goodness. So yes. So, you know, talking about family members, you know, so you can have somebody who intentionally means you harm and unintentionally.
Sure.
So, and that can be friends, you know, a loved one, family member, or whoever. You know, they could. The example I like to give is, let's say, a parent that is just too over controlling and it's causing more harm to your life than good, because they won't just let you be you and let you grow.
Right.
And you can mean well.
Yeah.
You both.
They just
can
want the
love
best.
the Lord, be saved, and both mean well, but
you have adult children, but you're still trying to treat them as their, like they were when they were younger.
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly.
But just they want the best for you. They just have their idea of, and I'm a parent too. We just want the best for our children in every way possible. So sometimes we think that our way may be better, when in actuality, as they grow up, they have to learn how to make their own decisions at some point, and you got to take the hands off.
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly.
Okay.
So
what other type of relationships you got? We have business relationships. You got friendships. You know.
And so, especially when you're involved with somebody, whether it's business or friends or family, when it really starts to affect your life negatively in a way that it causes you to worry, or your health, or it can even your finances. so with the business, you know, you're just not agreeing, and
Right.
you just, you know, you can lose the business, right?
Right. She owned a restaurant in North Carolina, by the way. So she knows what she's talking about.
Yes, and not only with that, it was with my ex-husband.
Right.
So that was a double thing, is how to get out of that. When unfortunately he was just making some not the greatest choices. That was not only affecting our households, affecting other people's households,
Right.
and how to get out of that. My prayer for that situation, as far as the business was concerned, is just to make it out without people losing their jobs,
Right.
because it affected
Everybody, right?
everybody.
Yeah.
You know, we had an average
Staff,
of,
yeah.
you know, around 17 employees.
Wow.
I mean, that might not sound a whole lot to, you know, some people, but I worried about that.
Absolutely.
You know?
Yeah.
So
Even one is important, though.
exactly.
Even one
So with the help of God, I was able to, you know, sell the business
Yeah.
and get out from underneath that. And they all kept their jobs.
Cool.
So
Cool.
yeah.
So the unhealthy relationships. So how do you repair a relationship? Well, let's define how do you determine whether a relationship is worth keeping or not? And then if it is worth keeping, if it was on the rocks, how did we repair it? So for how do we determine whether it's worth keeping? That's a tough one. Like that's a case by case basis type thing.
It is, and you know, I'm a bit of an introvert, so my crew is small.
Very small, right? Mine is too.
So,
Mine is too.
you know, if I'm having issues with, you know, someone within my squad, as
Yeah.
you know, what some
Yeah, the
people
crew.
say,
Yeah.
your crew, you know, that's when I fight.
Yeah.
If you're outside that,
Yeah.
I'm just speaking for me,
Right.
but I'm just like, you know, you want to cut up, then you
Right.
go your separate way.
Right.
But, you know, if I care enough, then I'm going to fight for it, right?
Yeah.
So, and then, what were we,
So
you
then,
know, well, yeah. So then there's, we talked about forgiveness. So there's different levels of that, right? Because, you know, you can have family members who caused abuse,
oh no,
right?
doubt. Absolutely.
So you can forgive, but you got to stay over there. Like
Yeah.
I forgive you,
But
but you're not stepping foot in my house.
you forgive, but you don't forget.
Right. That's the ones that, you know, you don't want to forget.
Right. Right.
So, same with, okay, let's say your grandma or your dad or whatever is out there cutting a fool.
Yeah.
You know, accept them for who they are and adjust accordingly. May not be the person that you desire them to be, but if every time you go over to their house it's some problems, well, expect that, show up for
Right. Every
30
so often.
minutes
Right.
and you know, don't try to go over there all the time
Right.
and drag your family into that all the time.
Absolutely.
You know, so
Yeah. Just govern accordingly. Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
So you're gonna have to make some adjustments to be able to keep those relationships that you don't necessarily always have to cut off. Some of them you need to cut off.
You do.
You know,
You do.
whether they're family members or not.
One of the biggest reasons to cut something off is you know, physical abuse, obviously.
Right.
And you know, it's just
And
it's
people
it's
wanting
kind
to
of a
use
gray
you.
area. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
They're you know, manipulative and just want your help for everything. They only want you to borrow money or only want you to do stuff for them. You know,
Yeah.
then it's
But
it's
never
not
there,
worth it.
never there for you when you need
exactly
something.
right. Right.
Okay.
One-sided.
So how do we repair? Like so we've kind of defined which ones to keep and which ones to almost begin to think about getting rid of, but how do we prepare those that are worth keeping? Like, what are some tools that we can use? Or
Both parties have to be willing to participate.
They do.
In that. So if, the person doing the wrong genuinely apologizes and actually starts to take the steps to make things better,
right,
then you have to, the other end, you have to receive that, accept it for what it is, trust and believe, and move from there. Right. Because you can't sit there and this person, if you are one to forgive for cheating, I apologize, it was the only thing, and they're really making an effort.
Right.
And then if you choose to stay and you choose to forgive them, you have to trust, right?
Or begin to learn how to. It doesn't happen overnight.
Right.
There's just it's not a switch, and not a switch on our back.
Exactly.
Trust. That doesn't work like that.
Right. But
everybody give an opportunity.
Yeah, and everybody has their line that you're going to cross. Some people can handle that. Yeah. I am not one of those people. Yeah. But
right.
But if you are, then
yeah, and to help out with that, so the road to recovery of a recovering relationship isn't going to be perfect. It's not going to be a smooth set. It's not going to be a smooth. If you look at a chart, it's not going to be a smooth chart. It's going to anybody in the stocks. The market goes up, it comes down, corrects itself. I'm sorry, I'm a little bit of a geek right there. But if we're believers, we have the Word of God.
Exactly. Right? That was what I was going to say. That's the most important.
Yeah.
I honestly don't. I mean, I think it exists, but to truly work, I strongly believe God has to be a part of it.
Definitely. There's a verse in Psalms that comes to my mind. Great peace have they that love thy law, and nothing shall offend them. If you remember that, like, that's just a little short verse for those of you who are there and believe what we believe. If you just take you don't have to read the entire, the whole chapter. If you have just a small verse, put it on your phone, and if you're in a business meeting, or if somebody throws you under the bus, you just excuse yourself from the table, go to the restaurant, pull that. Great peace have they that love thy law, and nothing shall offend them. Look yourself in the mirror, take a couple deep breaths, and get yourself together, because you got bills to pay. You got things to take care of, and you can't allow one small thing. It may be even a big thing, but to manage it in a way that will be pleasing to God and be beneficial to your life and to your family's life is more important. So just a small thing. I read that this morning. It's been ringing in me all day, so I just wanted to share that. But anyway, it's time for the Q&A session. And again, for those of you who have questions for us, go ahead and type your questions into the Facebook comments feed there on your device or on your computer. Please forgive us if we don't get to all of the questions. We will do the best that we can to answer whatever you have to ask us. So we'll be waiting for your questions. Are we waiting on the questions? Okay, so first question is, how do we lovingly end relationships that are unhealthy without hurting someone? That's a tough one. My best answer for that is whatever you say. Hopefully it's everybody pretty much knows the right thing to say. But when you're dealing with like breakups and things of that nature, emotions get involved. So the best, if you can put it in the best envelope, say what you have to say carefully. Sit back and think about the words that you want to say and the message that you want to say, and then deliver it in the most loving way. Because it's not just about what we say, it's how we say it. And if we can be mindful of that, I think the letdown will be just a little bit easier. Instead of telling them off and you ain't nothing, you pointing your fingers in the face. You know, kind of think about what we want to say before we say it, and then and do it in as calm a fashion as possible. Emotions run high. It's not may not be as calm as we would like for it to be, but if the more on that side that we can go, I think we'll be better. So.
And praying beforehand that
yes.
That
Absolutely.
not only let God guide your words, but also let them be received on the other end, because sometimes you can be as sweet as candy. You're telling somebody, but they're not hearing you, right?
Doubt. No doubt.
So,
Yeah.
I think that.
Yeah, and then they have to, obviously, it's two people involved, so you can't really control what other people are, their reaction. You can only control what you say and do. I can only control what I say and do, and then how they take it is how they're going to take it. But if you do your part, you can have more peace on the inside than you would if you just told them off and flipped them the bird and say, get out of here, I don't want to talk to you anymore. So the next question is, what are your thoughts on the importance of going to counseling before marriage? I think that's an absolute yes, a must, as far as I'm concerned. What do you think?
I strongly believe that, I wish more churches did that before, focus on it before you even get engaged. On prepping on how to even date.
Okay.
For me, I saw issues when I was dating my ex-husband. And definitely very close to the wedding.
Okay.
I was too embarrassed. I was just like, I can't call this off now.
Right, it was too late in the game.
Exactly. I was like, we're engaged.
Yeah.
So, and we did the premarital counseling and all of that. So I think it's very important. And, I also think it's important to, when you are of the age to, really start thinking about marriage, that, perhaps more churches do classes on just dating and how to find the right mate. Because by the time you're engaged, chances are you calling it off or slim. It happens, but it makes it harder.
It does.
So.
Because you've already, we already popped the question. You already
Exactly.
have the big rock on the finger and all that other stuff. So, so let's see, what else do we have here? How can you be friends with somebody you're still in love with, but no longer in a relationship with?
That's a hard one.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, that's a rough. I don't think I've really experienced that one. What have you?
That's a difficult one.
Yeah.
I don't know how to answer.
It's okay. I mean, we're live. I mean, this is real right here. So we're trying to make sure that we give you answers from experience.
Right.
So that's a rough one.
It is, especially when that other person eventually gets into a relationship.
Oh yeah.
That's really.
Yeah.
Really tricky. I don't know if should even remain friends. That's just my personal opinion.
Yeah, like anytime I've gotten out of a relationship, it's been done. So
right.
That's a case by case basis.
Yeah.
Like if you were, perhaps if you were really good friends before you got into that intimate relationship, and both of you feel like you can take that step and not be jealous if you all date other people, then okay. But if one person doesn't if you, for instance, can't take it if the other person is dating somebody else, perhaps maybe you just have to go through that separation
Right.
and go through the struggle of not being with that person at all, and then just move on with your life, and vice versa. So
Right.
that's a good question. Thank you for that one. What are the differences you notice when God isn't as big of a presence in your relationships? Agitation.
Yep.
Agitation, lack of patience, a lack of peace in the relationship.
Yeah, definitely.
Because if you're now, you have different types of relationships, but when you're if you're in a relationship and there's, see, I'm thinking about marriage, I'm thinking about friends, I'm trying to give the answer for all of it, but it doesn't work that way. So let's go back to marriage and boyfriend and girlfriend type thing. If when you all are together, it should be peace. Like that should be like home. Home is not necessarily a house or a place. And if you're boyfriend and girlfriend, let me get things together. I have people watch me that's gonna correct what I say if I don't say the right thing. But so the boyfriend and girlfriend should be in the same house. But that's a whole different episode. So, but anyway, because we're believers, right? But wherever you two are is home, and it should be peace there. And it should be less agitation there. This world is beating us up, and you go out in here, but when you get together, there should be peace. So I think that wherever God is, there's peace, and there's order, and there's love, and there's being comfortable. I think.
Yeah, definitely. Like I mentioned earlier, with me being an introvert, I get my energy from being at home and relaxing. If I can't do that in my own home, I'm all out of whack. So definitely. I mean, and that's work too. If you go to work and every time your nerves are bad, then
then you come home and your nerves are even worse.
Exactly.
And then I get up in the morning and go back to work so
right.
So that's what I think. What other questions we have?
So yeah, it's eventually you're gonna with God in your life, in both of your lives, it just makes it easier because if you're listening to Him, it's gonna fall into place eventually.
Right. And then you have the fruits of the Spirit. Like if you're personally growing, aside from everybody else, but if you're growing in your own personal life, the response and how just how you walk out life by yourself and with other people is different and it's better. So that right there, if you start there, I think a lot of this other stuff will take care of itself. So anyway, I think it's all the time that we have. Thank you all for tuning in. I want to highlight our co-host here, Shannon. So Shannon is an entrepreneur. She has a business called Lily Bear Gifts, and if go check her out. She has. You want to say what your tagline is?
Oh, so it's specialty gift baskets and handmade gifts as well.
Right, and you're on
handcrafted gifts.
And you're on Etsy under Lily Bear Gifts, and Facebook
and Instagram.
So check her out.
Follow me.
So check her out, and very very good business there. So anyway, I just thank you all for being here. I just want to I want to give a special thanks to the YA of MPC and planning team, and just want everybody to know that we're here for you. So if you have any questions, comments, suggestions, anything you want to, we strive for excellence here. We want to make sure that the show grows. We want to make sure that everything looks and sounds and everything is just full of excellence. So you have any questions, comments? Look at the background. If you have any comments about that, we had a little issue today, but we fixed it. So anyway, we aim to inject the truth so that all can live free. Thank you all for tuning in to TruthSerum, and we'll talk to you next time. Peace.